Hello, my name is Cece Garrett. I'm a clinical social worker who specializes in the treatment of hoarding disorder, working with individuals, families, and communities that are impacted, as well as being a survivor of parental hoarding myself. I love this Ask Me Anything piece, and a recent visitor to my website asked, while I've done a lot of internal work to get through and become a calmer person, a calmer version of myself after leaving a hoarding situation about 15 years ago, I'm still jittery and absolutely livid when I allow my mind to consider the idea of reconnection, assisting, or cleaning up after my parents' passing on. Are there ways I can add to my internal processes to prepare for the inevitability that comes with the inheritance of a lifetime of unmanaged hoarding? First of all, that's a lot. It's a lot that adult children carry. And I want to validate that feeling jittery, those, feelings of livid anger, right? Like these are fully grown adults. They should have done their own work is very valid. And the first thing I want to say after that is I want to challenge you to recognize that just because your parents leave a mess behind doesn't mean that you or I have to step in any way to deal with that, whether that's while they're living or after they pass. Now, for sure, making a choice to not engage means that perhaps there's some risk and loss. I'm not downplaying that. However, I want to be clear, we have power that we often give up because we feel like there's these obligations, societal expectations that we have to do something. And I want you to know it's entirely possible that you could decide that you don't want to do it or that there's only certain things that you're willing to do. So, from that, I want to challenge you, do you want to do that? If you don't want to, then maybe look at what you are willing to do. If you haven't already, I hope that you'll go back to the website and check out the Parents Who Hoard workbook, which is really about looking at lots of things that until we're in that moment, we don't know, we don't know. And even in that moment, because of the crises that really comes with it, we're too overwhelmed to consider. So having that experience myself and working with many families in that experience, I created a workbook that helps you look through lots of things that you might not have considered to kind of help you support making the decision that's good for you, healthy for you. Things like your own mental health, your own physical health, your own family or work obligations, right? It's more than about what your parents have done and the mess they've left or what their expectations of you are. So if you haven't, I challenge you to go check out the workbook. Now, if you decide after doing that, in fact, you do want to be part of whatever, end of life engagement, whether that's intervening before they pass or being responsible for a property and their estate afterwards, there are some things that might be helpful. And these are things that I'm really going to challenge you. It sounds like you've done a lot of internal work. These pieces are going to be really helpful to do with a counselor. And so I'm just going to tell you up front, can you do them by yourself? Yes, but sometimes they're sticky. They're really, really sticky pieces. And so I encourage you to find a therapist who can do some exposure work around trauma, but doesn't require you to sit in the reliving of a specific story. There's something called forward-facing trauma therapy, which is really about going from the triggers, the sensory triggers that we're experiencing that's causing that jittery sensation, triggering that strong anger, livid response that you're having, recognizing those triggers, and then using acute relaxation and other mindfulness type techniques to get back into a relaxed body because a relaxed body tells the brain it's safe. And so we can do kind of these imaginal exposures, pairing a relaxed body. I'm safe. This is a sensory trigger, but I'm actually safe here. And reducing through repeated going through these imaginal scripts, these imaginal images of what we want to do, what we won't do, and really, going through that future lens and pairing it with relaxation. That doesn't mean it's okay, it's fun. It just means that we can take some of that powerful negative threat away from those emotions, the perceived threat. And the last thing I want to recommend is working on impairing what we often call negative emotions from threat. And it's something that we don't do on purpose. And most of us have it, right? One of the things that I found very challenging was once my mother had passed, is that I thought I would feel much better, that I would cry and I would get through it and I'd feel really good. And that was not my experience. And what I found was that I had for so long had this message that crying actually was unsafe, that I could get really, badly wounded if I let my guard down and cried and was sad and angry in a relaxed body. Anger isn't bad. Grief isn't bad. Emotional pain, whatever it is, isn't bad. It's the threat that we attach to it that usually is perceived. It's not actual threat where we get really stuck. So again, are there ways to add to your internal processes? Yeah, I think the first one is to go back and look at how much you really have to or want to be engaged with whatever comes at the end of your parents' lives, right? What is your role and what are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? The workbook will help with that. And then really working on some exposures, imaginal exposures about coming to the house. What would that feel like? Relaxing your body in that moment, imagining being in that space, but doing it in a relaxed body, right? Can we still be angry that the house is as bad as it is? Yes, but it's actually possible, challenging. That's why I suggest having a therapist or a counselor work with you. But being able to have anger in a relaxed body, that this is not okay, and that you're sad and hurt, angry, whatever those emotions are for you, that this was the life your parents chose, that they robbed you of some things that perhaps you really needed because they didn't choose to get help. And again, working on just unpairing that tension in your body with those emotions that we often call bad or negative: anger, pain, betrayal, frustration, irritation, all of those, and just being able to have them and be able to relax our bodies and come back into, okay, how do I want to respond? That's where your power is going to lie, is choosing who you want to be and how you want to show up, and being able to practice before it happens so that when it does, it's not triggering a bunch of perceived threat. I hope this answer was helpful. If you're a viewer on the YouTube channel and you have a question, I hope you'll pop into the comments below. Check out the Ask Me Anything on my website. Love to answer your questions about hoarding. Have a good day. Thanks.